Hi, everyone. Welcome to Sunday Funday. So today we have some great guests. I haven't really been this nervous for any of you since this one. Matt Powers. Matt is, there's a lot of issues that he had with his life that I'm sort of been going through with mine. Totally different, but similar in certain kind of ways. But when I'm talking about gardening, this is what I want to garden like, with the soil food web and everything. So that's what I'm like, this is what I really wanted to do as a live since I started doing lives. And Matt was like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. And so at 8:20 we have Bailey and Spring on, and 8:40 we have Tuber Chat and the Stock Explorer. And memberships cost 99 cents, go on from 99 cents. And what's going on with the garden? Well, downpour for the last 3 days. It's still downpouring. And so I haven't really been outside, but this week's going to be a crazy week. So each week I do have a co-host. And this week is going to be Courtney from White Family Farm. So welcome in, Courtney. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing well. You sound good, so that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm not sick for once.
we always like every time it's like, oh, please no echo, please no echo. So welcome in, and I'm happy to have you this week. So I appreciate everything you do, that's for sure. And welcome in Matt Powers. So welcome in, Matt.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming. I really appreciate it. We usually have around 80 to 120 people in the chat, so we'll probably grow something like that. And expect a lot of views on this. But you know what? First of all, tell us about. Well, I have pages here. There we go. You know what? Tell us about your family, Matt, and tell us like who you have a wife, you have kids. Tell us a little bit about your family.
Yeah, so I'm a family guy. My family is everything to me. As a kid, I dreamed of having a family. I knew my wife the third day that I had never met her. First time I met her, I said, "I know who you are. You're a punk." Different story. But 3 days into knowing her, I was sort of seeing her roommate. It's complicated, but it works out. I just knew she put on "Wouldn't It Be Nice" by the Beach Boys, and I'm like, it would be nice. And I was like, this is your wife. And I was like, whoa, this is my wife. And then 3 weeks later, I don't drink anymore, but at that point, I accidentally said I loved her. And then 6 months later, I accidentally proposed. And these are just things that like came out of my mouth. And then 3 months after that, we were married. And wow. Yeah. And then we waited until the timing was right to have our first son. And then about a year after that, so he is about to turn 17. So you can imagine, this is a while ago. But this sets the scene for much of our marriage and our family. When he was just a baby, my wife started having all these like energy issues, and she got thyroid cancer, and it all went down so bad. The way they did it, the way
You said she had energy issues, like she
she had fatigue
issues,
and so she had these crazy like nerve headaches, and then she had a lot of energy issues. And many people who have thyroid issues, it's literally the most common thing, for a variety of reasons. And she went in to get it biopsied, and they just took the whole thing. And in fact, what happened was, I was there and they were going to cover it, and then they decided to like not cover it and charge us like all this money. And right before she went in, and it was like, we had like the letters showing it. They were like, we don't care. We need cash. They made us feel terrible. And then in the middle of it, Dr. Snitter came out. I'm sure this person's still doing her thing. and she just told me how it was. And she was like, we found cancer, taking it out. And I was like, what? And you'll tell her that she had cancer when she wakes up. You're the one. And I'm like, what? And it was insane because they had taken an organ from her without her ever knowing that was a potential.
Risk.
And so
Right?
she never had an option. And then they told her you got to do radiation. And then it caused melanoma, like huge amounts of skin cancer that almost reached her lymph nodes. And they had to do tons of surgery to take that out during this time period of her taking the radiation and being radioactive. We had to have our baby, with her sister in Brooklyn. And so we're in Connecticut at my mom's. The baby's in Brooklyn. This is her 1-year-old. This is her first baby.
Oh,
Psychologically, everything was awful. It was just so brutal. And then in
I
the
stayed
middle
away
of
from
this,
my son for one night and I cried my eyes out so I can
right?
completely relate.
Yeah, it was torturous. And then she got another form of cancer from the radiation. And when I asked them about it, they got all awkward. I was like, so the radiation, do you think it caused this? And they all awkward, like, obviously it was caused by that. And I started asking questions. I was like, okay, so when is it safe to have the baby around? I asked every doctor, got 3 different answers. And I just was like, oh, so you guys don't know what you're talking about. You guys are clowns. And you're clowning around with my wife's health and my baby's health. And I just got so upset.
Wow.
And like, my wife used to work at New York Methodist. Like, this was, I think, LIJ, Long Island. And so I lost all trust in these people. I was like, oh, you just did that. And you don't even care that she's like a person.
Yeah, that's horrible.
And so I lost all trust, and I became a very bitter and angry. And people are like, "Wait, what?" Yeah, I had a time period where I was very angry because of what they did.
Yeah.
And so and this is the reason I left New York. I was the bass player for Rachel Ray's husband's band. It was a great gig. I got paid like a lot of money to just play bass, like nothing hard. It was so funny. I mean, he would be like, this song's called Burn. It's not about my wife's cooking, but it's about how much I love her. Every time. And I played the same song for 7 years. And I love John. I love Rachel. No doubt.
So funny though.
But, in the past 7.5 years in my personal business, I've written 24 books and launched 13 online courses. So I have a different level of what I want to do with my life. Right. But at that point I was very happy, and it was shocking. And so my wife said, I prayed about it, and I was like, oh no, this is the words. Oh, she's like, I think you should pray about it. And I'm like, I don't want to pray about it. That's going to get me in trouble. Prayed about it, and the answer was that we had to leave. And I was like, no. So we left, we left New York. It was really hard. But coming out west, her recovering with her folks was really, really awesome. I got to see the way her parents were raising her younger siblings as I was raising my children, and going, all right. And then in the midst of that, I got my master's degree in educational and developmental psychology. So I was like, oh, okay, we're going to do everything different. And that's why James is the way James is. James is a self-taught musician. I mean, he plays guitar in a way that's shocking, but it's because I applied all these higher level things. So I left the music industry. I became a substitute teacher, and I felt so bad for the kids that I went and became a teacher. And then I wanted to get my master's degree because I wanted to be good at it. And then I was at a school where there was no curriculum, and I had just laptops. So I started writing curriculum, and then I just brought James with me every day for years. So my 8-year-old was in my junior and sophomore classes as a child. He's very, very articulate. He started coming with me to science conferences when he was 8.
Wow.
So my family and he has 2 albums out this year. One is like an indie rock dance album. So like Daft Punk crossed with um
You
Rat
have
a
such
Tat
a cool
Tat.
kid.
And then he's got like this unbelievably romantic, like
Oh,
jazz, Latin, almost 50s vibe album. That's I put on and I'm just like, I don't even know how he did this, but it's because we got out of the way. And so much of education gets in the way of people's actual development. So I'm an educator. My wife kept getting cancer. And so I became a teacher because initially I needed healthcare.
yeah.
And then I just loved teaching. But again, my wife kept getting cancer. And it went from free healthcare for teachers in California to $700 for the minimum. And it's like a month, $700 a month for healthcare. So your paycheck disappeared as time went on in California in a very tricky way. So you would like get a boost in pay, and then they would raise the amount of money you'd have to pay. And then you'd see like, hey, did the head of the union just become the principal? How did that happen? Oh, I see. They traded away all of our rights. And so I started getting into a lot of debt and I had to figure like a way out. And so I was modeling a Kickstarter for my students. Because remember, these are sophomores in the 6th most violent county in North America. These kids don't have very many options. They have military, trouble, a scholarship, and those slices are so much smaller than they actually seem.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like
definitely.
when you find out that like full ride scholarships, oh, that's like 15,000 people, and you're like, wait, that's it? That's bad.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to give them real options, and so I was like, you guys have to like build your own ladder to get out of this hole. And I was like, and so do you, Matt. I'm in a garage at my grandparents' in-laws, raising 2 children, and we're all sleeping in one room, right? So I no doubt had an incredible education. That's why I felt obligated to become a teacher. I literally, and this is why I got banned from several Fresno schools, because I would talk about history that was college level, and they're like, you can't tell kids that. And I'm like, that's what makes it interesting. They're gonna remember that forever now. And they
And
were
when
like,
you get older, you're taught the other history, and then you get older and be like, oh, well, that's what really happened.
right. And the great thing to do is have it just be the original source material and have it from the multiple perspectives and be like, what do you guys think? Seems kind of crazy. And they're like, this is how messy history is? And you're like, pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
And they're like,
That's what makes history awesome.
Matt,
totally.
your family, your mom and dad was higher education too, right? And you had like 2 brothers?
My mom was okay. So I'm really following. I'm following in my mom's genes in many ways. So my mom was a special ed student teacher, and there was no curriculum for middle school in New York State. She said this is unacceptable. These children can learn. It doesn't matter if they're special needs. We can do things with them, and they can learn and grow and progress. And she created the first curriculum ever. So there was no special ed. There was a room, and they tried to contain them and keep them away from the other kids. And so in the 70s, my mom created the first middle school curriculum for special ed. And before she went to Columbia University to get her master's degree, they adopted it into New York State law. And they were teaching her back to herself at Columbia. And so in her mind, she was like, you know what? I think I can do something like this. And she went on to write a lot of legislation at the state level in Connecticut. She had a 16-year career as a local politician and a state politician. And she was the one who, and this wasn't convenient for me in 4th grade, but she created helmet laws for kids for bikes. And
okay.
knowing what we know now about how like just that simple little helmet saves the life,
Oh, yeah,
so many
completely.
instances, right? There was a time when no one wore a helmet. It ended when I was in
You'll
4th
see.
grade. It ended in 4th grade for me, and everyone knew it was my mom. So they all were mad at me. Yeah. Yeah, hard things, and I didn't even yeah. So, my mom's amazing. One of the fundamental things I got to see was my mom, worked on the Long Island Sound. Like, the Todd's Point, there was this estuary, it was all aerobic, methane, stink, and, like, I was a camp kid at that part of the beach growing up, and that would always be the stinky area, and you wouldn't like it, and my mom fixed it. And she was and it was a bipartisan thing. She didn't even like the guy. The guy didn't like her. She let us know at home. You know what I mean? And but in my mind, I'm like, you're working with someone you don't like because you guys care more about the end result for the community and the environment. And it went from something gross to like
Right.
beautiful. And I was the kid who watched nature growing up. And so like for me, you like do the big timpani dun, 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 and then the vista of the, the nature. Like that's what got me excited. You know what I mean? And so like she did that with conviction, connection, and something greater than everyone involved that everyone, resonated with. And so that was really influential for me, and I didn't realize it because remember I was a musician until all these things connected, and I needed permaculture to even understand how to grow food in California where I was growing. It was foothills outside Yosemite, so we got every wildlife animal you could imagine that's in California except for the extinct, bear on the flag. Uh, um, and it was 140-degree soils, and it was
Yeah.
bulletproof in the
So
summer.
you're saying that your mom basically got you into this?
In a totally open-handed, unrelated way. My mom never tried to like force anything on us boys. She had 4 boys, you know. 2 of them were junior Olympians, my 2 older brothers. So one was a college football player. Like they were big. I'm the beanpole. They were giant. And so my mom just wanted us to rise to our full potential, but I didn't realize how much I was absorbing being around her growing up, because I too all the stuff I've done, all the curriculum I've written, I've created teachers guides and aligned them all to standards so they can be adopted into public schools. And they're used in private schools. They're used in some public schools. They're used in a lot of universities. So I've been able to influence education. People are citing my stuff, using it in papers. I've been able to do some. They're big shoes to fill. So I've been able to do some things. But yeah, I just the idea of being a servant leader, the idea of looking towards what the community needs are in the future. I see such a lack of community-minded care and connection in the world around us. Because I watched my mom go around town at the community center, and I watched all the different classes go in and out because she's there doing stuff and I'm just hanging out. And I'm like, this is like, arteries in a heart, like these rooms are coming out, people are coming in and coming out. They're from all over the town, and there's like circulation and goodwill. And so much of what I learned in permaculture, regenerative soil, being the head of the English department at the local high school, was what we're missing is that connection to the larger cycles of the community around us. And that's holistic thinking. And that's what permaculture is. That's what regenerative soil is. And that's what's missing in our culture in so many different ways, is that.
And it's so hard when you've been living one way your entire life to get into that. to get into the holistic and the permaculture and growing your own food. It's difficult. It's not an easy thing to do. So
Matt, did you have a little garden too growing up?
My mom had a garden. We weren't technically allowed in it. And when we were raking in the fall, the tomatoes that were left over would sometimes end up in fights, the boys, and we'd get in so much trouble. But like, that's the thing, is I never was attracted to gardening because it was my mom's thing. And then my dad was like a business guy. And and what's super interesting is actually he tried to create products like really early on when I was a baby. He was like working on creating products and innovating. Later on, he went into management and stuff, and so I didn't know this. But like as an adult, he like came to me and was like, "Dad," he was like, "Son, you know, when I was a young man, your age, I wanted to be what you are, like an entrepreneur." And it was really wild. And I feel like so many of us don't realize we're the products of our parents in so many more ways than we will likely ever realize, because quite often the things that we fulfill are the things our parents left unfulfilled. And
yeah.
it's painful. Like, I left the music industry, but I made my peace with that, and it hurt me for a long, long time. But you know what? My oldest boy might be, I mean, I have yet to see anyone of this generation or even in my generation close to him at guitar. He's self-taught. He's been playing guitar since he was a toddler. So, and he's written thousands of songs. But my point is that is that I had to see that as part of this progression to really understand my parents more and to understand being a parent more. So maybe, anyway, for someone out there.
I would like to get into like how and why you think most of the food out there is poison, because I've heard you talk about it, but I really
Okay, so
get into that because
so
I
there's
grow my own
yeah.
food as well. So I'm just more interested in what you think. So
Yeah, so if there are toxins that are being used to kill microbes, and microbes are what we use to digest our food, and those toxins are still residual or systemic, in the case GMOs, then we will be taking on that load internally. This is why glyphosate has been linked to, and there's studies around this, because it's how it actually works. It disrupts our ability to digest food. And so when we disrupt things like fungicides, our digestion is bacterial and fungal. And it's how we unlock the nutrition in our foods, just like plants. So plants actually, the way that they feed is primarily through bacteria and fungi. Inside the roots, through rhizophagy. On the outside of the roots, rhizospherically. And then in partnership with the roots, symbiotically, whether it's like rhizobia. I mean, we all know rhizobia, the nodules on the nitrogen-fixing beans and peas, but also mycorrhizal, which is, some people know, some people don't. But the fungal partnerships that coat and extend and expand the root zones. The thing is, plants, for the most part, that we get in stores, and I know that there are some examples that are usually the local example that you might find on your shelf. So I don't want to say everything, right? But industrial grown food, they aren't looking at it biologically. And the highest two levels of plant health is the plant health pyramid. Those two highest levels, where you've got increased lipid synthesis, so in other words, more fats, more oils, essential oils, and then increased plant secondary metabolites. That's the smell, the taste, the medicinal compounds, the terpenes, all of that. Those are only amped up and increased and enhanced by biology. And actually, root hairs don't grow on plants unless there's biology. If you sterilize the medium, sterilize the water, and you bring in sterile fertilizer, it literally, you will have a nude root, no root hairs. You
That's
must
interesting
have.
because I've never sterilized my soil. A lot of people do. Like they boil it or something like that. They do sterilize it, but I've never
Well,
done
that
that.
doesn't
Now I'm
sterilize it.
curious. I'm
That's
curious.
hilarious. When you boil it, that wakes up the lactobacillus. So
Okay, well, people do that.
lab is
So,
woken up by
yeah.
that. Yeah, and so that's a selection process. And the thing is, a lot of times when you do make things uniform like that, that's actually it's a selection process, a simplification process, and it's a uniformity process. And so they it feels good to them. But when you do that, what happens when you've got uniformity? What happens when you've got a monoculture? You have pathogens find a foothold. So unless you're going to follow that up with inoculating with beneficials, inoculating it with biocontrol, biostimulants, and biofertilizers, because literally that's what these microbe consortiums can do, you'll be missing profound fundamentals that the plants evolved with in place. When a plant root comes out, it starts feeding on the microbiology.
Yeah.
And that's how the first root hairs are formed. And they suck it in through the root, the root tip, and then they bombard it with oxygen, a form of oxygen, superoxide, and it liberates all the nutrition that was inside the bacteria if they expire fully, partially if they don't expire and they just lose their outer membranes, and then the membranes on the bacteria and fungi regrow as they get pushed out of the root hairs, and then they populate on the tips of those root hairs on the exudates that get forced out, which are sometimes, I mean, they are primarily carbonic, but there's a whole wide range. There's a long range.
When you
But
when you talking about plants like this, I'm automatically thinking tomatoes in my head. That's like the
Mm.
clearest example because they show those root hairs instantly. When a
Mm.
tomato comes up, you can see all those little hairs.
Yeah, and you
on
can
the
turn all
inside.
those into root
So,
hairs. This is the best
yeah.
way to grow tomatoes. But let me get back to your original question about what do I mean by things are poisoned. It's not just that things are poisoned, they're also deficient. So they're missing that life, so they're missing the nutrition. So because they're missing that nutrition and they're missing that mycorrhizal filter and protection and buffer, they can uptake anything. And so people are like wondering, why is there pathogenic E. coli in my spinach? Oh, well, it's because it wasn't inoculated. And brassicas typically do not take a partnership with fungi.
Yeah.
But trichoderma has been shown to allow arbuscular mycorrhizal fungi to partner with, which as an industry standard would suddenly protect the brassicas in all the stores.
And that's exactly why I haven't bought romaine lettuce in the grocery
Right.
store and I don't know how long because I don't want to die.
And now they're talking about putting mRNA vaccines inside our food, inside the lettuce. And so all of us are going to start growing our own food. It's the only way. Make sure you have your seed collections now. And I've had a seed bank for years because the way they treated us 10 years ago in the heirloom seed community, the way that if you are, you know, in the know of the homesteading community, remember 5 years ago when they started cracking down on canneries? It's like, oh, you're a homesteading family canning. Oh, we're going to investigate you. It's like, what?
Like it was a huge health concern.
Yeah.
Remember that.
Yeah. Resilience and safety.
Heaven forbid you grow food for your family. What a health concern.
Right. Or like saving water. They're like, if they want to crack down on that. So they have created a situation where things are deficient by default. Things are set up to be toxic.
So when you go to the grocery store and you see those mounds of tomatoes and cucumbers, they're deficient in everything because they're mass produced for everybody so everybody can eat. But at the same time, you're not getting anything from that.
And when we look at those things and like the carrots in the orange hatching, take the carrots out of the orange hatching and away from their lights. Like when you go in the parking lot, look at it in the sun and you'd be like, wow, that's some hurt looking carrot. It looked good in there. How is this this hurt carrot? How is this the thing that I just bought? And they're working so hard on getting us to accept worse and worse quality food.
Yeah.
And
I pick your brain a little bit about what do you think about hybrids? I know you're a heirloom person. Do you not like hybrid plants, or do you? Like how?
I like the hybrids that you make. I like the open pollinated hybrids that we make at home, that we DIY, and let's take 20 different varieties of squash. I'll give you the same seeds, me the same seeds, and you the same seeds. And we're going to all grow them, and they're going to cross-pollinate like crazy. Next year, you're going to be like, hey, are yours like dominated by this one type of, and now you've got like small, big, little, wide, like all, and they're orange and really deeply ribbed. And it's like, oh, the black footsie took over. The genes of the black footsie were so strong. They just were like, wah. And it's like, why? Because where black footsie was stabilized genetically, it's very similar to your climate and area. And what you just did was have it absorb in a landrace way all the genes of all those other plants that you added in. So you now have this incredible landrace that's paired to your land. So this is what I would do. So
you can explain this so much better than me. I've tried to explain this to other people, and I'm just not good at explaining that. But like you just hit it like that. I'm like, yes.
Well, I'm a seed saver. That's what I've been a long time seed saver. This is how I think. The reality is we need you all to develop your own home, family, bioregional varieties of everything. So you're going to have a family tomato. Maybe not this generation. Maybe you're just going to be working on it. Though I know people have developed over 60 varieties of tomato in 20 years. So you can do it pretty fast, depending on what you're going after. I know people are doing peppers a lot right now. I do it in corn. I love putting purple speckles on things.
Purple speckled corn.
Yeah.
What does that taste like? Does it taste any different, or?
Yeah, it's better. The thing is, so if you've had flour corn, like painted mountain flour corn, you know it's different from sweet corn. I think it's more satisfying. It doesn't get into my teeth the same way. I don't like dent corns. That's like what the only industrial corn is, based off of Flint and Dent. And I don't eat those. Digestively, I don't think my body really can digest those.
Yeah, I can't digest corn. I have a heck of a time. So
flour corn I really like. But I personally have been on, because I have Crohn's. I've been on a personal journey of health, and I went from raw vegan to vegetarian to omnivore to just carnivore. And now I have a very limited diet that's like a combination of 4 different diets. And I don't want to sneeze.
I don't have Crohn's
to hear this week,
but I can completely relate to, because I have IBS and I cannot eat certain foods. Like, you know, people say like, well, I can't eat this and I can't eat lettuce either. Like it's horrible. Like, so I can kind of relate to.
Can you eat tomatoes?
I don't like them.
I love tomatoes.
I've tried every single one though, but I don't just eat them. So
what happened for me was when I did the carnivore diet, I stopped having potatoes twice a day. I love potatoes. Yeah. And then it was like suddenly I felt different, and I was like, I think it might be potatoes. I tried potatoes again, and I was like deathly ill.
Oh.
And then I tried tomatoes and it was the same thing. And I was like, okay, I don't think I can have nightshades right now. So like, and it, there's hope, right? Right. People are doing like stem cell resets of their gut and maybe that'll be affordable someday. Right. But for right now, I have a very restrictive, boring, sometimes laboriously boring diet. And we all kind of have different diets in the family right now.
I'm just surprised that you can eat corn. Like that is surprising.
I can't right now. And I haven't in a year and a half. I haven't eaten, I had a little bit of corn last year at a special thing, and it didn't hurt me at all. So corn doesn't hurt me, but I'm just afraid of eating outside the bounds of these 3 diets. And so I say all that because I want people to understand that I'm really on a personal journey with food. And I'm the cook in the family. She's the baker. I'm the cook. So I went for years like loathing that moment, being like, well, what do you guys want to eat? They're like, well, what do you want to eat? And I'm like, I'm in pain. Let's not talk about food, and I just wanted to like, I just wanted someone else to do it. How'd like that one go? You guys understand it's just life when you're a dad and or you're a mom and that's your role, and you've been married almost 20 years. They're not going to suddenly start being like, and here we go, chef, and like, you're going to do your role. You're going to support, right? Live where you stand. So you guys get it. We homeschool. Our boys are really unschooled in many ways. That means that we've tailored the curriculum to what they want to study. My job as a teacher is to make it so that the standards are implicit. So they do all the work, but it's the way they like to do it. And so it's like, it's more work. And I obviously have training in this. But man, the results are incredible. Instead, it's the way we used to learn, following our passions, sometimes one-on-one teachers, sometimes they go to special classes, small group classes. James is learning jujitsu from a world champion right now. And he went up
awesome.
He went up against adults. Awesome. He went up against adults and he didn't go as a beginner, as a novice. So they level up against like blue belts and he got gold. So he's like hungry. He's got that junior Olympic gene thing going. It's and so he's just like this. He loves it too. He's so good at it. So we really really try to feed into their passions. And I mean, he is so goal oriented. And we have to try to help him balance and then work through things when he can't fit everything. And it's different when you're coaching rather than like trying to dictate and motivate. It's very, very different. You just don't want them to go over the edge.
Yeah.
Matt, tell the truth about the organic food you buy in stores. So somebody goes to the store and sees organic. Right? Oh, I'm buying the best thing ever, and you're spending more money to buy these foods. So for those people in the chat.
So how do you feel about politicians? Well, organic happens to be a political football that they love to play with. And so like, I'm so leery of political footballs and anything that has like those kind of fingerprints on it. Maybe, you know what I mean? Like it has to do with like all the things that my mom complained about when I was a child, on the after hours from her job. But maybe you resonate with that too. We really want our food to be transparently, ethically sound. And so we can see, oh, this was grown at this farm. Oh, I was at that farm last week, and it's just, I took a farm tour and, I love that local farmer, Farmer John or Farmer Jane. They are a part of our culture, our community. Like, that is what we really need. And the thing is, what we have is these faceless corporations that are giving you this carrot. You don't know where it's from. You don't even know if it's from America. And by the way, the organic standards of QAI are willy-nilly compared to what there are here in the US. So you can have like this international QAI standard, have it packaged in America. And so it looks to the cursory eye that you're buying an American grown food and it's organic. Meanwhile, we don't let just anything in. We spray and irradiate things when they come in through customs. So the thing is, it's a lot of games. Just like they're playing in politics, they're playing the same games with our food and our farmers are beat up by all this. You talk to farmers and ranchers, and I do. They are discouraged. They send me YouTube videos of other ranchers and other cattlemen, and they're like, look at this. And they're pressuring our farmers and cattlemen out of the economy, out of providing us food, because they want these international companies and these foreign interests, a lot of food from China, a lot of pork from China.
Which politicians are putting money in their pockets for that.
Right. Yeah. Because we allow, just FYI, so people know, in our country, we allow foreign money from other governments to fund politicians and political races in our country. That's a thing we allow, which is insane. So I do not like the term organic. It's frustrating because there's so few things that we can use. Regenerative or organic is headed the same way. That's why I created regenerative soil, and I keep it so simple. We're talking about the air, the water, the plant roots, photosynthesis, the minerals, the soil biology, and the organic matter. These 5, and I know I pair air and water, and I pair plant roots and photosynthesis, but those 5 areas of focus, they allow us to go down to the micro and back up to the macro and make sound decisions that allow us to transform our soil. And everything in this world wants to work. There's a natural momentum.
This healthy balance in your soil. You don't have to worry about bugs. You don't have to worry about anything like that. I mean, not really. I mean, there could be, but the bug pressure is.
Let's think about that for a second. So, like, what do bugs eat? So they're the suckers and the chewers. They're eating 2 particular things. They're eating nitrates, so incompletely processed nitrogen. They didn't become proteins yet, or amino acids, or peptides. And then simple sugars, monosaccharides. Monosaccharides aren't good for us either, right? We don't want that white sugar. We want the polysaccharides. And you're like, wait, polysaccharides? Long chains of sugar? Is that okay? No, it is. That's the medicinal compounds inside, like mushrooms and other natural medicines. And so they're these very stable, long chain sugars that are actually beneficial. And so all of those longer chain sugars are indigestible by those bugs. And so when plants are able to fully process in their 24-hour period the sugars and the nitrogen that they're processing, they don't turn into pathogen pest bait. That doesn't change the fact that the awesome corn and tomato, the deer and the other mammals, they're going to want to eat it. So that's a different conversation. But the bugs, the pests, the diseases, the viruses, those things we actually know how to fight and prevent. So I don't like organic. I don't like regenerative organic. I don't like anything that gives them the power, because the reality is the more that we do, the more that we take on and do locally, the more we unlock our greatness, and we let our kids see that, and we let our neighborhood kids see that, and our community, and they go, wow, That's what people do. That's what people, like adults who have the ability to do things, they do good things. That's the kind of town and kind of place I live. That's where we live. That's who we are. It's like that's what we need. And so I really feel really strongly about all of these solutions because they're honest, they're legitimate. People are being able to get off the chemicals. They're being able to reduce their fertilizer usage. They're being able to reduce their water usage. They're being able to do less passes, so that's less fuel usage. And less water usage, less fuel usage as well. And what happens is they over time get more value out of doing less work. And the greatest gift we have in this life to ourselves is to give ourselves more time. And when you have more time and you're doing the right thing and things are improving and you're giving people better and better food, that's the life purpose of a farmer.
Yeah.
You're treating the land better, you're feeding your people. And those life meaning, those life purpose jobs in community, they must exist. They must thrive for local economies and local communities to thrive. And so I really feel strongly that so much of this craziness that we see going on is all just a masquerade. And we need to turn away from all these people trying these top-down solutions for soil and these top-down solutions for ag, and because they're just set up to be corrupted. Instead, it needs to be transparent. It needs to be people-powered, but in a way that lets you have your opinion, lets me have mine, and makes it so that in that we actually, it's an engine. And it's an engine. The difference actually creates questioning and then experimentation and then growth. And like, that's how, New York was born. That's how so many great things have come to be. And so I really feel like the frameworks that I've created in regenerative soil. If you guys don't know this book, get this book, Regenerative Soil. This book is all the things I've been talking about. It's all inside here. This is the first book that has all the plant essential nutrient cycles. This is the first book with all the EH and pH charts that are combined XY. So the thing is, in chemistry, they all understood that there was two legs XY to the chart across from pH. And no one in soil had thought about this because it's moisture. It's really bizarre, but these corrosion charts are the first time that they've ever been in a textbook, and I'm the one who color coded them so we'd understand quickly and visually the sweet spots. So this is the only book like it, and then it goes through all the recipes and solutions that they relate to, and then it goes down to individual ion, enzyme, and microbe, because somehow, and I know the people, I love the people. They've done so much work in their lives. I love them for everything. But just saying fungi, do you have enough soil? Fungi. Just to have the fungi. Which fungi?
Yeah. And to the average person, I mean, we all are gardeners out there, like in the side chat. Nobody really knows what that means. Right, they know a little bit, but they don't know what that means. Like, it needs to be.
But that's a natural reaction, right? And I think that's the right reaction, because it's like, well, there's toe fungus and there's you know what I mean? Like, what are we talking about here? And you listen to like Dr. Christine Jones, and she was like, well, we must have enough fungi. Bring the fungi. And you're like, and I can't sit through it. I can't even sit through a lecture because she won't even differentiate. And so, yeah, it makes such a difference. And then even in mycorrhizal fungi, it's like, which mycorrhizal fungi are you talking about? It makes such a difference because they're mostly bioregionalized. Like Deserticola, hot tip, dessert, it's in the desert. And so it's like, so you know what I mean? It's like we just need to pick the right fungi for the right area and have it not be this mysterious like fungi.
Yeah.
And then with bacteria, there are very specific biofertilizing bacteria, and the majority of them don't come in through a compost. And people keep being like, oh, you need the biology in the compost, the magic biology, and rhizobia is in there, no doubt, if you're putting legumes and like ruminant manures. But it's all saprophytes because they're breaking down organic matter. Why wouldn't it be anything but saprophytes? And what is internally in the plants that happens to also be an overlap with saprophytic behavior. So there's a small group, and then the rest, rhizophagy, they just get zapped, and the roots eat them. And so it's a very different picture than I was raised on, and I had to read thousands and thousands of studies, read hundreds and hundreds of books, and I had to talk to actual scientists from around the world to do this. And when what I figured out was there's an entirely different paradigm for the way the world actually works. The best way to start that whole conversation is with energy. When plants are photosynthesizing, they're pumping H plus out of that whole equation, right? They're pumping H plus, which are protons, and they're gassing off the oxygen from the H2O or the CO2. And they're instead of having it come down and pair, oxygen is the loss of energy. So when we light a match, we're liberating all that energy. When we oxidize aerobic compost, when we're turning it with lots of air, it's releasing all that heat because that's energy. And so oxygen is the loss of energy, and plants are venting the oxygen so it doesn't go in the soil. And all the energy, the other half of the equation, because everything's balanced, right? And remember the balance the mole, right? And so it's all going into the ground. And so when we realize that everything is electrical, and when we realize our soil particles, the organic matter, the dark, black, carbon-rich soils that we want, they are the thing that holds the energy from plants. It's all energy-based. And so when we talk about oxidative stress being the precursor to all cancer, and we talk about how antioxidant foods fight cancer and prevent cancer, oh, we live and we measure oxidation in millivolts. Millivolts. In other words, you can shift the decimal point, and make it volts. So it's electrical. It's volts. Our world and health of everything is directly related to this. And so I started from the soil because I'm interviewing doctors and they're being like, turn off the camera. And I'm like, what? They're like, well, I want to tell you the part that addresses human side. And I'm like, wait, what? And so this stuff, because it's the linchpin to all health, relates to everything. Our food is our health, and it all starts with the soil. And I know that like they've greenwashed the whole carbon cycle, but if they actually looked at the carbon cycle, we'd understand that we need to expand the engine, and then the amount of CO2, which is the fuel for the engine, can stay the same or actually go up. But it's the photosynthetic engine that we've shrunk that's really caused these problems. We do need soil to have the carbon again. All desertification is caused by a lack of carbon and a lack of organic matter. All the synthetic nitrogen, it's lonely. It's purified nitrogen once the water hits the salt, and because it's all chemical salts. And so it disassociates in water. It's what salts do. And then it's pure nitrogen, and it goes around just bonding with everything it can that's organic matter, destroying your soil structure. So we really have to let the plants do their own thing. We really have to develop soils that have structure, have the ability to buffer. Because the reality is organic matter is also the buffering between all the minerals. So if you think about a mineral, you go down to the periodic table and you got the different atomic weight and a different amount of electrons, meaning the outside of it is a different amount of energy.
Yeah.
And you actually glom in a little bit of organic matter and it plugs it up and then neutralizes it. And then it can hang out without fighting anything else. And then fungi will come along and inoculate that organic matter, touch the rest of that, and then access it when it needs to. Fungi literally stores energy and nutrients in crystals on the hyphae, like on its shoulder. It's like, and I will use you later. And then it goes on through the soil, connecting more soil particles, inoculating them, sprouting crystals of excess nutrients.
So when people actually see fungus growing in their garden, it's actually a good thing because it shows that they have a well-balanced something going on there. That's good.
Yeah. Right? So when we think about that, though, we're going to be seeing like white and brown and gray hyphae in the soil holding things together, not the actinobacterial white hyphae that smells characteristically like fresh turned soil. There's a distinct difference in the way that is pHing. I mean, if it's pH 8 and you've got all that white hyphae, that's actinobacteria. And it's not well dominating like that. It's just going through a time period of digestion. It's not really helping you much. Actinobacteria streptomyces is the dominant one you'll see. It's an endophyte. It's good. It's going to be the second most, even in your fungal piles, it's the second most common microbe that's there. So, but when it's like dominating and suppressing everything else, that's when it's not good. The thing that you're going to see in the garden that I want to mention, like you might see mushrooms, and that can be good. That can be cycling. It can be cycling nutrients, but it also can mean waterlogging. It also can mean compaction. So we got to look to various indicators as to like where the soil health is. And then with fungal, most of the fungal action is microscopic. Most of the fungal action is inside the roots or on the roots, and you need a microscope to see it. Most of the fungal action is, you can sense it from looking at the structure and how well structured the soil is.
When you say fungal, I'm automatically thinking of like decay. I'm thinking of, so basically when you say fungal, it's breaking down the soil over time, right? That's what you mean, right?
What's super interesting is because it embodies the soil by digesting these organic matter particles, it becomes the soil particles. And so it's organic matter still, but it's fungal, okay? And as it eats it and then it moves on, it's still fungal and it's still going to be accessible as part of their body, but it's not active.
Oh,
it's like a reserve. And so the thing to understand is that the fungi in the soil, there are saprophytes, they're breaking things down, but the fungi hyphae are literally tying together inorganic minerals as well as anchors.
Nice.
And they can mine minerals. They can take individual molecules out of mineral matrices. And so they're chemists, and they're orchestrating the succession of the soil and the structure of the soil. And so their interests are broad ranging. And so it's wild. Like you look at them and you're like, oh, wow, this is tying together like this huge strand of biochar. And then you see these sections where there's like minerals, all this attached, and there's organic matter mixed in, and it's threaded throughout it. And then you look closer and you're like, oh my gosh. And look, there's bacteria inside helping them digest. And then you look on the outside and there's bacteria gliding on the surface and using them as a highway. And it's all these things stacked. But primarily in the garden, it's the results of fungi that we see rather than like a mushroom. A mushroom is really it's indicative of a saprophytic action of breakdown and change, especially if you've added fungal foods for that because you're switching it. Because right now I'm in sand. So when I see split gill mushrooms sprouting, that means the mushroom foods are happening. And it also means that these plants are senescing and breaking down, especially because they're happening all of their root base. So we want to see those kinds of cycling things happen where it's appropriate and at the time and place that we desire.
How do you, okay, you said biochar. How do you feel about biochar?
Yeah, someone today was like, "What's your ratio? This seems very high, sir." And it was funny because I know that Pacific Biochar did 85% biochar, and they're
Wow.
growing just fine. And the hyphae is nuts in these grows.
Nice.
So the fungi love that. They love that, and I think it's because it allows them to do things electrically differently.
Oh,
There's
you
like
can
a total
guarantee I'm gonna
different
be putting that
force.
on my garden.
Yeah, yeah. It's profoundly powerful. It holds 3 times its mass in water. And I mean, for me in this field, I turned like a huge amount of, because when we moved in, there was like a lot of clearing that had been done. And so we turned all this wood into biochar and then raked it out and then tilled it in. And so some places, it's a higher ratio than others, but it's nowhere near 85. That's for sure. I mean, I'd hazard to say that it's probably at most 5 to 10%. In the picture that there were actually the stumps that we couldn't get to burn completely. So they're these biochar covered stumps. And I just was like, you know what? We're gonna love on these things. And so I just like covered them with beans. And so they're just covered with beans. And as the beans are growing all over them, they're breaking down further. And so there's just tons of falling off biochar. So it's a cool picture. But they were like, there are large chunks of biochar here. And it's like, it's gonna be okay.
Can I ask you a question? This might sound ignorant on my part, but I'm new to the biochar thing. So I'm curious, does biochar have to be from a specific wood, or it can be from pine too? Because I'm curious about
It can
that.
be from pine, but you wanna do a thorough job because you wanna actually burn off all those oils and tannins.
Okay.
Like, that's the thing. It's like you wanna do a really thorough job, and then you're like, "Oh, wait, you just said burn off. So my closed system where there's no air in it, yeah, all the oils, the volatile oils, the VOCs aren't going anywhere. They're glomming back on." And they might break. Some of these things might break down, but they also could be there. This is why some people have reports where they're like they've got high VOCs in their biochar because they did a low temperature burn and they let those oils resettle on it. So I really like the conservation burn. Anyone can do it. You're burning from the top. You're stopping the burn when it switches from char, starting to switch into ash. You then stop it there. You've got perfect char.
Okay.
So that's what I do. I know some people don't like burning. Burn safe. But know that if you do this right, it's a really great clean burning. Conservation burns. It gets rid of like 90% of the exhaust. It's absolutely incredible.
So, Matt, we got like 2 more questions. I'm gonna have a question for myself and a question for Courtney. Then I'm gonna open up the chat to the audience. Sure. How did you meet Elaine Ingram? Because she's to me is the queen of the soil food web, and what an amazing woman she is. Just following her, it's like you're just like stunned. How did you meet her? When did you reach out to her?
I reached out to her in 2013, 2014 to help me with my book, my first book. And then on my second book, we worked extensively for over 2 years, one-on-one. And she taught me everything in her courses except for the microscopy. And actually, I got in trouble with her old business partner at one point because I was teaching everything that Elaine taught me and all the videos. And she was like, you're ruining everything, Matt. And I was like, what do you mean? It's like, Elaine and I are cool. And she was like, and she just was so mad because Elaine didn't mind at all. Elaine was very happy to share with me and my audience. And so anyway, but yeah, Elaine took some really special time and taught me so much. And then I learned from Olivia Husson, and then I learned from the endophyte mycologist and bacterial expert, one of the greatest microscopists and the most published mycologist that I know of, Dr. James White. His microscope work is unparalleled. That's one of the reasons why I did what I did and started studying at the level I did. And so a huge thanks to Dr. James White. I met Dr. Elaine Ingham in person at Permaculture Voices 2. And yeah, she knows my kids. She saw my kids grow up. She's a friend, and I've been an affiliate of her program for many years as well.
And James White's from Rutgers University, right?
Yeah, he works there. He went to school down here in Texas, just like Elaine did.
Oh,
Did you guys know that they both went to school here in Texas? Yeah. And so I'm really grateful for both of them. Elaine's work was really important for me to learn early on, to get further and to extend past that, and to understand the limitations of those paradigms. And so Elaine is one of the lenses that's in regenerative soil, but it's not the only one, because Elaine doesn't touch chemistry. Nothing that Elaine does touches chemistry or redox or energy, or mycorrhizal or epifluorescence. It was wild when I was doing the epifluorescence work. That's where, the fungi autofluoresces green, right? And they were asking me permission, LNW Scientific. They were like, "Can I show your stuff to people that are just learning this?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, well, who?" And they were like, "Oh, this person, Dr. Elaine Ingham." And I'm like, "Wait, what?" And yeah, it'll be in the it's in the reviewer copy right now. We'll see what the reviewers say. But I got an email. It's in the book. My mentor was recommended to learn from me, and so it was like this full circle moment. But that's what this book really is. This book went past 2020.
Does that make you nervous? Like, it would make me nervous. Like, really?
Well, that's why I took so much time to double down on understanding everything. I mean, I spent like $450 on books, because I needed to make sure that as I went past my mentors, that I was able to unite everything and keep everything micro to macro, scalable, verifiable, transparent, and repeatable. And so, yeah, it was critical though, because the thing is, I mean, one of the first things I learned that was, beyond my mentors was EM, effective microbes. Everyone's like, EM1, that's anaerobic. I was told that's bad. I've got video of people telling me it was bad. Elaine told me it was toxic. It'll kill our plants. But it's in every single compost. It's in her top students' compost. Those microbes are actually natural to every single person's compost. I DNA test now, because that's the only way you really know and can actually map these things out. No one's doing this. Elaine doesn't do DNA testing. And so I was able to prove that EM, the microbes that are in effective microbes, the facultative anaerobes, are core components of vermicompost, of hot thermophilic compost, of Johnson-Su composts, of static composts. And just like with science, I mean, it doesn't make me nervous just because we're all part of science, and she's a scientist. And she's studying too and growing too. That's why she's, studying the epifluorescence work.
Yeah.
I'm sure she'll get the book.
Okay. Go ahead. Your class, what you teach, what does everybody find at the regenerative rate and this, like, where does everybody go to take your classes? How does everybody?
regenerativesoilscience.com. Just type that in. It's a lead link. You don't have to do the www or http or any of that. Just type in regenerativesoilscience.com and it'll transform into my longer, less elegant link. And so that'll have all my stuff on there. You feel free to check it out. It's really
you were so funny. You were like on top of the gardening stuff. You were just hilarious.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, I love it. And the reality is it's like I've always had so much fun. And then as a teacher, I was teaching in the 6 Months Valley County in America. The kids like didn't want to pay attention, didn't want to do anything in English class. So I had to be, a little bit entertaining, had to make sure everyone's still awake. I love it. I love teaching. I love sharing, and I love experimenting and figuring out the why behind things. I mean, with my work, I've been able to show like the similarities, the differences, and it's just like the fact that thermophilic compost is primarily nitrates. And so you don't want to be using that when you're fruiting, right? Or when you're flowering, because the nitrates are vegetative growth. And you need a little bit of nitrate, you know what I mean, when you're doing flowering or fruiting. But the reality is that unless we test, unless we question, unless we study and go further, we don't get new insights. So I created new protocols. I asked new questions, and it led to incredible new answers. And that's why people who have, had everything that I had everything that Elaine had, are now doubling their yields. There are people that, have done everything right, that they're certified soil lab, but they were just looking at fungi and bacteria and they got tricked. And so you need to know specifically which bacteria, specifically which fungi, and if it's actually going to make a substantive difference to the bottom line on an acre by acre level. And so in order to scale to that, in order to monitor that, we have to do different tests. It can't just be microscope. We have to be testing everything, the water that goes in. We need to be testing the redox. We need to be testing salinity. We need to be testing
and this is
the nitrogen,
all
phosphorus.
stuff that makes you get a better yield, because I was reading up on a lot of your stuff, and you are really into more of a yield and more like you do a lot of square foot gardening from what I've read, right? You do, so you can get more in one space. Is that right?
I do a lot of close planting, and that works for when we're building soil, in the terms of generating organic matter with plants that can handle crowding. If your plants can't handle crowding, they're going to photosynthesize poorly. That's going to hurt the soil. So we have to put that caveat in there. There's a lot of people that are doing things that look good, but they aren't quite right. And so we have to find that sweet spot. I do things in such a way that I'm always pairing it with nitrogen fixers and support and cover crops. So we're always building the soil. And I lean more and more as the years go by towards perennializing my systems, wrapping my systems like in an agroforestry style, because it's those perennials, those plants, like you plant asparagus once, get a 3-year-old organic crown from groworganic.com, and then you've got 17 20 years of asparagus.
Unless you're me, then you kill it.
Yeah. Or you feed that to your meat, right? We have grazing cattle all around us. So that's why we have fences, because otherwise they'll eat everything. I planted something too close to the fence and something leaned over and ate all of the grapes. I was like, ugh.
Hey, they enjoyed it.
Yeah. It'll make it all so much sweeter later.
Hey, Matt, we could really have this discussion going on for a couple of hours, because right now, like, I feel like we didn't even touch anything yet.
Feel free to just ask the questions.
But right now, we're going to ask some questions on the chat, and we got about 6 minutes.
Oh, Lord.
We can go extra.
So I'm going to ask anybody who has questions, make sure they're all in caps. And thank you so much for coming on and doing this. This is, to me, it's so fascinating, because there's so much to learn. You researched this, you did everything. And for us, hey, everybody told us to till. Everybody else told us to use fertilizer. So it's like, oh, my mind's totally doing a whole flip-flop, Yeah. And I bet you a lot of people in this chat are like, what? Where do I get started? Where do I do this? How do I do that? So
this book has the cheat codes. It has the recipes. It has the microbes. I mean, I go through, and if you're like, well, I need this so clean and clear, I need this so that, I can't mess it up. It's just not possible. What about a chart that's related directly to what you need? So diazotrophs, those are the nitrogen fixers. This goes through not just the bacteria and fungi, but the free living, symbiotic, and endophytic. So the ones that are going to partner, the ones that are going to go inside, and the ones that are going to be just going to be added to your compost or in the soil around it, watered in. Your phosphorus solubilizers, your phosphorus mobilizers, specific micronutrients, right? Iron chelators, silicate, zinc solubilizers, plant growth promoting rhizobacteria. That's down in the root zone. And then the mycorrhizae, more endophytes. These are plant growth promoting, not just nitrogen fixing. Biocontrol, phytostabilization for heavy metals, filters and translators, immune supporting, and then for drought conditions. It's like this. That was just 2 pages. And so, and then it goes through profiles, it goes through application, it goes through recipes. And you can even grow the microbes. We go through agar, but all this is like making cookies. If you've ever made mead at your home, you're like, oh, I've done mead at home or kefir. You can do all this stuff. It's just growing microbes. The kombucha is going to be harder than this. So if you've done kombucha, you're next level. But that is on regenerativesoilscience.com. You can go to the permaculturestudent.com. I've got books there. I got a whole array of books there, many, many books. I'm on Amazon and Barnes & Noble as well if you want to go there. But there's so much there, but it's really about giving you the tools to navigate and give you the fluency. Because once you understand the way things work and how to navigate and put things together and understand the cycles, then new things can come along and you can interpret them. That's what I teach. I don't tell people what to do and this is that and that and the other and then just do it. No. Yeah. I have lifetime membership to my programs. I don't grade people. I set it up so that we're all in this peer conversation and community, especially once you get all the information, because I just give you the information and we talk it out loud. And so folks actually can contribute. I have people who've gone from student to teacher and exemplar now, and people who have launched businesses, farms, people who have completely changed their lives because there's an actual path for success. There are many businesses that are thriving because of the fundamental principles that are scientifically rooted in regenerative soil. I've got a farmer, an orchardist in I believe Florida. Yeah, this guy, and he has citrus greening. He's got all these peaches with problems. And I mean, if you've got peach wilt, you know what we're talking about. And he found this area, this abandoned orchard, and it had this older soil, and explained to him how to take the biology from that, ramp it up, and then spread that newly ramped up biology throughout all the other orchards. And he cured all the other orchards. He's so excited. He's sharing the food with all these people. He's donating half of it because he didn't think that he would have anything. And so that's what it really is about. Regenerative soil is about making a substantive, real difference in people's lives by connecting them to the real science that allows them to not just do it and be like, wow, that worked. Wow, I don't know how, but no, to be able to do it and understand and interpret why it's working, how well it's working, the parts that you could ramp up that there, you could slow that part down, and that's really where innovation is, and that's really where fluency is, because Shakespeare didn't come out of a vacuum, right? Bach didn't come out of a vacuum. The greatest expressions of our culture came out of cultures of fluency. when people are openly discussing things and being like, yeah, on my farm, I did that and it did this. People are like, oh my word, what else do you do? Well, I also did this rock dust. Where is this rock dust? You know, and it foments a cultural change for the better. And people grow up in those situations and they see the world differently. They see the world with good intent. They see that good things are out there. So I really am so excited that so many people are getting this book. This book changed my life. This is my most popular book, and this is the book that my heroes, the co-creator of Permaculture, David Holmgren, recommends. Darren Doherty, the founder of Agrarians, recommends. These are people that have literally changed, millions of lives. And so it's a very special book. If you don't have it, check that book out. And if you want to go further, I have a course starting tomorrow, Regenerative Soil, a 20-week online course where I go through the whole book week by week, all of it, and I answer everyone's questions every week so that people know how to apply it. They know the caveats, the conditions. They can ask me. They can get one-on-one feedback from me every week, and people love it. So that is also, you can find that also on regenerativesoilscience.com. You don't need the www or HTTP to just transform and it'll turn into my longer URL. I got to figure that out. All this all the technology stuff. I'm good to a point, and then I just completely fall apart, and I'm like, all right, son, how do I fix this?
Well, Matt, thank you so much for coming on today. Because we are sort of on a schedule, but I tell you what, I talking to Courtney before, I'm like, I could really go on for hours and hours and hours and hours with you. Yeah. And I mean, wow. You are such a source of information, but what you're dealing with what your family, I know I got to change the way I garden from the ground up. Like this year I didn't start no more rototilling. I put tarps on stuff and try to keep it dead. Now I did that last year. Well, last year I tore my Achilles tendon, so that didn't help. But after I started taking the tarps off because I started my cauliflower broccoli, I'm like, wow, look all the life under the garden. It was like, yes, I'm starting to get life,
Yeah.
So I'm so excited. I'm so excited about that. So I hope I could have you on in the near future and go into so much more stuff. That's up to you,
Yeah.
Thank you so much. That was awesome. And we had about 100 people in the chat. There's 100 people in the chat now. So
you kind of blew my mind on some things. Like when you're gardening, you don't think about all that extra stuff. I don't know. You just don't. Like you just kind of blew my mind a little bit. So yeah, it's very awesome. Thank you so much.
Okay, man.
Thank you all. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Matt. I'll talk to you soon. I appreciate everything.
All right, everyone.
Take care, Matt.
Grow.
Whoop.
Everyone.
There you go. We're back. What were you
all right,
saying?
everyone. I was just saying, grow abundantly, learn daily, and live regeneratively.
Thanks, Matt.
Bye.
So, guys, we're not going to go to the wheel right now. We're going to go right to our next interview. Matt, it's just, oh my God. What an interview.
Like, seriously, the guy blew my mind.
It's just totally awesome. Just like, what? What did he say? So our next two guests is Bailey. I just say Bailey because I could announce her last name for the longest time. Bailey Nuchter, Cat and the Prowl Creations, and Spring, the Fiber Enthusiast. So here is Bailey, and here is Spring. Hi, guys. I love that you guys came on. I appreciate you guys. You guys crack me up.
Nope, wrong way. There you go.
I don't know. I just go like this.
I am horrible with that. Like I don't know which way my camera's pointing.
Like right is left and left is right.
That's why I never made it as a weather girl. I had no idea where to point.
Right.
I just go
with the green screen.
It's good to see you, Miss Corky.
It's nice to see you too.
So Bailey, tell us about you were freezing for 10 days, is it?
6.
You had no heat?
6.
6. Well, 6 feels like 10 because it takes time to warm up.
Well, that was the actual temperature in my house the entire time. 10 degrees.
Wow.
Yeah. Like 10 degrees. Like 10.
Now, what did you do?
But, oh my gosh. Well, I toughed it out with the neighbor upstairs, and she had a little gadget that hooked, well, like a gas burner that hooked up to a propane tank, blah, 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 right? And yeah, would turn the nozzle lighter up, and poof, you had a little flame and a little burner kind of thing. So we lived like that. We used that to make grilled cheese sandwiches, heat up soup, make coffee, very important, coffee. Need that coffee. And yeah. Find places that had power, go charge our phones, come back home, and it's like,
oh my gosh, 10 degrees. That's horrible.
Living in Canada is not easy.
I was literally dressed in layers, like layers. I had 2 pairs of socks on with my slippers, 2 pairs of leggings. I had a tank top, a long sleeve shirt, a sweatshirt that like a hooded sweatshirt that like went to my knees. I had a sweater on top of that, plus my husband's house coat, which is like super thick. It's like more like a blanket. The blanket yarn is perfect for that stuff. And yeah, 2 layers of blankets doubled over, and I was good to go. I was nice and toasty warm until I had to get up. It's like,
right.
Well, give it another
week.
Like, 90 degrees.
I was nice and warm here. Wait, I don't want to get up. But it was fine. I made it through, thank God. Yes, I did. Yes. God is good.
And for everybody who doesn't know, Spring lives on such a property. How many acres of land do you have?
90.
Imagine having 90 acres of land.
Oh.
Now, how far is the mailbox?
3/4 of a mile out the driveway.
Love it.
Yeah, we sit almost dead center of 90 acres. We have a half a mile of creek and 5 springs.
Nice. It's beautiful. Yep.
It's heaven.
Well, you could go fishing there. You could hunt. You could do whatever. Do you hunt too? I always seen you on the horses. That's a good way to get around, by the way.
And Lord help the person that shows up on her property unannounced, because she got a shotgun by the door.
And then some.
Shh.
And then some.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
So, Spring, how often do you go online? Like, when do you go online for people to see you?
I have tutorials Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I go live Thursday evenings at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where I spin yarn and we chit chat. Bailey's my co-host, and we give everybody all kinds of giggles. And then normally it's Saturday, but I'm switching it to Sunday as a weekly podcast of what I've been up to
throughout the week. And then she normally appears on my live Sunday morning.
And Wednesday afternoon.
Sorry, I haven't been on as long as I used to be. My work at work right now.
Yeah.
Oh, you wouldn't want to see it. I showed Courtney a picture. It was like,
it's pie.
I saw your picture, Joe. And okay, no. I don't feel sorry for you. It's like, get to work, man. It's like, stop playing around.
Stop being on the internet already. What are you doing? People come into my office, and I'll be listening to something yarn related. They're looking at me. What are you listening to? Before it was sports related or something else,
Right.
I'm like, this is Bailey. I love Bailey. And I tell you what, when you guys come on together, I absolutely love it. It's so many giggles listening to you guys.
Well,
It
she
really-
says that I'm in her head and she's always in my head. So like, you know, it's just
Seriously, always in my head. I usually have to tell her, I got to take you out of my head now.
you know, like some people, like, you know, ask a question, what would somebody else do? She always is like, Bailey, what would I do?
That's so funny.
Now, Spring, when you spin, say that 10 times. How long have you had that, like the cycle?
Spinning yarn?
Yeah.
Oh, I've been spinning yarn now for. I first started with a drop spindle about 7-ish years ago, and about 5 or 6 years ago, I started spinning on a manual spinning wheel, and then I've gotten other wheels since then. Lots of other wheels since then.
Hey, it's all fiber related.
Yeah, exactly.
If we didn't do that, we wouldn't have the fiber that we use to actually make things. So, you know, I mean, that's the beginning process, really, or the start of
processing it and spinning it into yarn. Mm-hmm.
You know, Spring, the first time I actually went into your chat, the first time I seen Spring the Fiber Enthusiast. So I'm thinking Metal Mutual, and fiber.
You mute.
I had no idea what kind of channel you were.
She does it every time I go to her chat. She's like, yeah, every time. And it's like, no, not that kind of fiber. I mean, you can eat it if you want to. I don't recommend it.
No. Mind you, that would put a whole new twist on keeping the insides warm. So,
exactly.
And then out.
Well, usually what goes in goes out, doesn't it?
Instead of spring cleaning, it's string cleaning.
Dental floss.
I want to know.
Okay, sorry.
Dental floss.
Just like, oh gosh, here we go.
Oh no.
Oh my. Okay.
What are you guys working on now?
Oh my.
What do you currently have? Like 5, 6, 7 things?
Many things. I've got a blanket on the loom over here. I've got just a throw that I'm working on. I'm designing a knitted pattern. How many things do you want to see?
You can show whatever you want. It's all good.
Let's see. I've got fiber that I've spun for spinning, or I've blended for spinning.
Nice.
There's so many things.
and I've got dibs on that yarn, just saying to everybody out there. It's like, because it's like, it's got Bailey colors in it. I'm sorry.
This is all hand spun yarn that I spun.
Oh, nice. Beautiful.
And I just got to the point where it was like, okay, I'm going to start working it up. Just into anything. I don't care.
And Bailey, you working on socks?
No. No, I'm still working on picking up my my knitting needles because she's actually working on something that seriously has piqued me. So it's like I definitely need to up my game here. But no, I am not doing socks. I might make crocheted slipper socks or crocheted booties kind of thing. But yeah, no. Not knitted, but I have made something else, and it's just like one more little touch left. I already did the shoulder thing, so Spring knows what I'm talking about there. And such a simple fix. Oh my gosh, it was. And and let's see, I'm making a shawl, and then I don't know. I honestly don't know. It's like, actually, I'm making spring shawl, and I'm on the. It's like
Spring
that
shawl.
one.
Yeah.
Say that 10 times.
I'm making one of her patterns, and I'm just about done. I've got like 10 rows left. Yeah, I only got 1 or 2 like done since this afternoon. It's like,
Did you take a nap?
unfortunately, no, I did not.
Oh.
See, Joe, what you do to me? Okay. But no, and then I have a few other projects that I have in mind that I would like to whip up and share with everybody. It's like sometimes if it's a pattern that I've done that I don't mind doing again, I'll do a tutorial. But if it's a pattern I really don't want to do again, then I'll just like, write it out and offer it to people who want to make it.
There you go.
Well,
that works too.
That's pretty much it. Yeah.
I just want to say I absolutely love you guys. I think you are so well together. Whoever thought that I have a friendship with you guys, in my life. And
we're a little off.
Maybe that's the reason why.
I'm
way off. You might be a little off. I'm way off.
Speak for yourself, woman. Speak for yourself.
Yeah,
who's off?
For you.
I'm not off.
Oh, that's too funny.
I'm right on. All right.
Mm-hmm.
I said stay to the point. Bailey, staying right to the point. So, Bailey, when do you go on?
Oh, dear Lord. Well, this month it hasn't been much because April has been a crazy month, like, with the outage and then recuperating from the outage and then taking care of all kinds of other business after the outage, like, and stuff. So normally Wednesday afternoons at 2 p.m. and Sunday mornings at 11. I've been doing that for quite some time, the Sunday morning one. Wednesday afternoon is just light banter and chuckles to get you through Hump Day Wednesday kind of thing. And then I have introduced 2 tutorials throughout the week, usually crochet. Recently, they've been different shell patterns. So I think there's like 2 more that I want to release, and then I'll go on different tutorials on something else. So it's 2 tutorials, 2 lives. That's it. And of course, I'm up on with.
She comes and visits me.
That one. There. Oh, that one.
E.T. phone home.
Well, you guys are so generous, and if you guys want to laugh and a good time, go check out both channels.
Oh my God. We like to have fun.
Yes.
I think that's what we live for. Like not just to share what we do and what we know, or whatever, but also to bring joy and laughter to people. And I think we accomplish that. So for that, I am eternally grateful.
Awesome.
Yes, Niecy, it's over there on the bookshelf. There.
Where's the snort board?
Yeah, they have a snort board, and that's hopefully.
Oh my God!
Make somebody snort.
Hey,
too.
listen, I'm pretty sure I had her snorting a couple of times too. We just didn't hear her.
No.
Yeah, I'm sure she did. Niecy.
Well, thank you guys for coming out.
I'm watching you, girl. It has been a pleasure, Joe. Thank you
and
for having us.
I hope I get have you guys in the near future again. You guys are totally awesome.
It's great seeing you two up there.
Yeah, it's good to see you guys too.
Always a pleasure.
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Okay, so thank you for this great donations. Valerie, thank you so much. And Nana Michelle, thank you. So we're gonna go to the whale after everything's done today, because everything's going. Actually, it feels like we're still in the first hour, right, Courtney?
Yeah.
Like oh my God, it's already like 8:40.
I feel like we just started. Yeah.
I feel like I just started. So our next 2 guests is a stock explorer, or Nora the stock explorer. That's how I like calling her, and Kevin, which is Super Chat. Kevin's channel, right? I'm on it all the time. Super Chat, Connect and Grow. And I always take the smaller guy, whoever's never doesn't have any subscriptions, and try to help him out.
Yeah.
And that's what he does. And I absolutely love what he does. It's his 3-year anniversary.
Oh, wow.
Super chat. So welcome in the Stock Explorer and Tuber Chat.
Thank you for having us both.
So Kevin, how you feeling? Because I heard you haven't been feeling too well.
Oh, I'm good. Yeah, I probably I'm allergic to everything. Everything affects me. We've had some crazy weather, but it was probably the thing again. So those who know me well enough can probably still hear my voice is not ready for a 3-hour show yet, but I figured we can tough it out for a few minutes. So we'll postpone the anniversary, but thank you for mentioning that until this coming weekend.
And Nora, Nora the Stock Explorer.
Oh, guys. No introduction needed. I'm everywhere.
I tell you what, Nora is one of the best supporters around. She's in there. She's following you. She's sharing you out. She's constantly, it's like your best friend on internet. And she's there. She's always supporting. Every time I make a post, a subscription video, she shares me out. Every time I make a post, she's sharing me out. Every time I'm on her channel, she's sharing me out.
Aww.
It's like absolutely. Thank you for everything, Nora. I really appreciate it. Oh, you got your Garden State Gardener sticker.
Yeah, I just got it. I just went out to the mailbox to get this, and I looked up in the sky, and I'm not far from where they launched the rockets at, and I saw a smoke stream going up, and I'm like, oh cool, rocket launch, and then all of a sudden a big red glow, and then it started coming back down.
Yeah, it exploded.
You're probably going to see on the news that something just exploded. So yeah.
Oh, so that just happened like right now?
Yeah. Oh, you seen it?
I saw it on the news already. They said the rocket exploded in midair.
That's another one. That's 2 in like a week. It's been a lot.
Yeah, I definitely don't want to be on something like that.
No, hopefully it was unmanned. I'm thinking it probably was.
Probably.
Now, how close was the tornado to your house?
I would say about 2 hours. It wasn't near
that far away.
No, we got a lot of rain and stuff, and luckily it didn't come into Orlando. But we get our fair share, but not this time. Luckily, it passed us by. It stayed more on the coast, I think, near the coast. Yeah.
Kevin, how did you start Tuber Chat? What is your background, and how did you actually get started?
Well, thank you for asking. So, but I just want to cut in and just say both of you have done a great job. Joe, you always do. Courtney, you've been a great co-host. I really enjoyed the first hour. So I've been on YouTube actually for 6 years now. And it started because some people who don't know me very well might not know that I actually do construction work a few days a week. It used to be a full-time thing, and as the digital stuff has increased, I've been able to cut that down a little bit. So half of my full-time job is running different social media aspects for sometimes different people, but particularly one company, and starting other channels. So I started another person's channel who I still work with today before my own. Started my own about a year later. So now we're, 5 years ago. And then 3 years ago, I started Tuber Chat. But the inspiration came because when I was introduced to the small YouTuber community, we only use those words because they're so popular. If I called it, Tuber Chat Connection Network, nobody would ever show up, right? But when I was introduced to a couple of people who consider themselves in a small YouTuber community, I was overwhelmed by the generosity of so many people willing to help each other. And, I've had friends help in life, in other, past lives and things like that, but never anything like this. I've never seen people where generosity is at the forefront of their mind. So I said, okay, there's already been growth streams ever since YouTube changed the rules where you need 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time. For those of you counting, it's about 4 years ago. So there was a lot of growth streams out there, and some of the hosts of those growth streams are friends of mine today. And when I said, I'm going to do another channel that's just like what you do, but we're going to put the focus on the friendships that are built behind the scenes in the chat. They didn't say, go do your own thing, go find something else, don't copy me and everything else. They said, we'll help you build it. And there's a lot of people who are still with us today that came through on that promise, and they still come around as often as possible. It gets harder as we grow, right? But that inspired the beginnings of what now is a flourishing community of generous creators, of which Nora is actually the newest addition to our moderator squad. I think that's even getting on a year ago now. I forget how long it's been that Nora's been a part of that. I take that extremely seriously, but Nora was somebody that I had an eye on as a channel and as a creator for a while, watching what would happen after they got monetized. Like, is monetization just their goal, or are they going to continue to support other people? And for anybody that's known Nora more than a minute, you know how unbelievably supportive they are. So I'm glad that you've got Nora and I together today, because we've become great friends over a long period of time.
I absolutely love it. Just let you guys, there's 5 free memberships that are up. Thank you, Dee's Creative Hands Crochet, for donating 5 memberships. It shows up, I don't know if you see it on your site, but it shows up on my phone. So thank you, Dee's. Thank you, Dee, so much for doing that. So who was your first, Kevin, who was your first person that subscribed to you? Was it Scratch and Pete?
Oh, in Tuber Chat. Oh, I feel bad now for not being able to remember that, because it would have been a quick rush to the first 50 or something like that. Probably. We've come a long way now. People can get a channel monetized in a fraction of the time, you know, that it took back then when we were building Tuber Chat, and that community's like really been helpful to each other. So I have to admit, I feel terrible, but I can't remember for the life of me. I remember who was the first creator to ever come in to a Tuber Chat live stream. They actually beat me there. Was It's Me Wanston, Yes Honey, who's still a friend today. But you know, there's a lot of stories like that, and I promise you, I could do, you know, weeks or months of live streams just talking about the generosity that I've seen in people, not just for me, but what I see around the community. Hence the reason I'm even on here with you now, Joe, is because I see what you do for the community as well.
Thank you. I think I love what you do. I absolutely love it. Because you know what? It's the relationships you build. The friendships you build.
So this is why it was called Tuber Chat in the first place, is because the focus is certainly not on me. I'm just there to talk for 2 hours or 3 hours while we're on. But I understood right away that the magic is going to happen in the chat, because now that we're 3 years in, if you ask anybody who's been there more than a month, or like, let's say 10 times or more, who are their top followers, they have no choice but to say we met them at Tuber Chat. Some of them anyway, you know what I mean? I think that's a universal truth, because the idea is doing for others much more than we expect for ourselves. And by doing that, it comes back 10 times. It takes a while, but it really does. And you see it, you hear it in the stories that I tell every day.
Yes, yeah, definitely. And how do you follow so many channels? I follow as many as I can, and I go completely nuts.
It's tough. So for anybody keeping score, Tuber Chat now has well over 4,500 subscribers, but that means I follow all of them. Plus everybody who had subscribed to me, my personal channel in the very beginning, plus a few more. Now, it's impossible to keep up with everybody as much as we all would like, but the truth is, and I say it all the time, as long as we're all doing as much as we can for each other, because no two people are created equally, right? Everybody's just fine, and we see it. Everybody's growing. Everybody who wants to get monetized gets there eventually. It's not a race, but we just try to help so that it can be faster today and easier today than it was for us a few years ago.
When I started my channel, I made a big circle, and it's how to help me and how to help others. That's just the way I roll. Because if I believe when I built if everybody comes together, everybody's stronger than one. It's like a team together, everyone achieves more. You know, that's how I always grow. And so when I built it around, I'm like, what do I want my channel to be around? The one thing I have never gotten into is cooking. because cooking has such a large audience. But it's been with gardening, homesteading, general stuff, just crocheting and crafting. It's things that I grew up on. And that's the way I wanted to build my community around. Wait till I get into cooking. That's going to be nuts.
The good news is there's always room for more cooking content, whether it's channels or whether it's videos. That's going to be an eternal truth.
I mean, I got bada bing pancakes. I'm a Jersey guy. And so, Nora, when did you start, and what was your whole?
I started over 2 years ago. I started the channel because I was inspired by another creator named Peter, who has a stock market academy, and he used to live stream every morning, and I was part of that group. I would listen to him for an hour every morning, and I saw that he also had a channel, and I said, this looks fun. You can get it on, tell people what you've learned. You can teach. I like to teach people new things. So that was the inspiration. And what I would do is record videos about different stocks that you can invest in and kind of tell everybody a little bit about the stock, but kind of make it beginner friendly, because some people are intimidated by the subject. So I wanted to put my own spin on it, explain what the stock is about, maybe give them some ideas. Maybe you might want to invest in it, or, just learn something new, right?
I didn't know that's what your channel was. So now I'm coming over because I am on Robinhood. So
nice. That's exactly where I got my start. So I got a referral link from a friend, like many people did, and
my curiosity.
I when I get into something, I kind of have a habit of kind of nerding out on it. So I got really into trading and the Robinhood thing, right? What my channel is now has evolved into something completely different, where sometimes I don't even talk about stocks. People just come to chat. So it has sort of become just a place to meet new friends, meet new creators, and things like that. But I do always try to work in some sort of stock market content to keep it, I try to start with it, but I know it doesn't, we always evolve into some other, we go like squirrel, it goes off on its own.
Well, Nora, tell us about Disney.
Yeah, well, that was my latest actually call out. I was calling it out when it was $98 a share, and now it's at 103 or 104 now.
So everybody
has tons of potential. I really do. Under 100, I was like, that's a buy. Not financial advice, but that's a buy. And those sort of things. I get excited about it. If I see a good deal, I'll put a short video up, or my members get like little blips of, hey, this is what I bought. You can copy me if you want. The past couple trades have actually been profitable, so I'm happy about that. I'm very careful what I put on there. I only share things that I personally invest in, because if it looks good enough for me to put my money in, I feel comfortable enough to share that with the members. So that's like a little member perk for the channel. But other than that, we just do I was doing coffee chat for a long time, but I changed my work schedule. So I'm not always able to get up early anymore to do the coffee chat, but I still try to come on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at some time and, do that live chat.
And Kevin, tell everybody what time you go on.
So we mix them up. You're going to hear from the biggest YouTubers, and I follow them also, like Sean Cannell and Sonny Lenarduzzi and Roberto Blake and Daryl Eves, and there's a list of at least 10, right? And they will all say the same thing. They'll say you need to be consistent, and in a lot of cases, if not most, you need to post on the same day at the same time when you can be consistent, and eventually things will build. But in some cases, if you're sure, then you can mix things up, and it helps you reach other people who you otherwise might not have reached and things like that. But for Tuber Chat, I started that from the beginning. So on every other channel that I run, we are perfectly consistent, except for if we miss a week of videos or something like that. But when the videos go out, they go out Saturday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, always. The only exception is if it's more than one channel from the same owner. One will go on Saturday, one will go on Sunday, one will go on Friday, whatever the best days are to pick up the traffic along the way. But Tuber Chat is established now. So we used to roll on a schedule because I have to work. Some days a week I'm not able to be on, right? So we used to do Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And then when things opened up, especially this winter, I was really able to mix things up. So all different times of the day, could be morning, could be afternoon, could be late evening, depending on where you are. I'm in Niagara Falls, so that's Eastern. And then we mix up the days. So this week literally is when outdoor work time starts for me again. I might have to get back to a schedule, but we'll see. But like everybody else, you have to go on when you have to go on. One of the things I talk about often is as your channel grows, when you first start, it might be easy to avoid going at different times. Like Joe has a powerful stream here, and he's been doing Sunday Funday for as long as I remember already, right? Mm-hmm. So there are probably a lot of people who won't go on Sunday at 7 p.m. But if some of your friends' lives change and their channels get bigger, they might have to. I go when I go, and that's it. So if it has to be Sunday afternoon at 7 p.m., then that's when I go, right? And that's what everybody's eventually going to have to do. But we mix them up just because we can, and I watch very closely the analytics. So if things slow down because I pick a bad day and time, I notice. So I can move it and say, we're not going to do that again. If Saturday afternoon is not as good as Saturday evening, then 3 out of 4 times we'll go in the evening, and I am obsessed with analytics and data and things like that. So that's the reason I'm confident in moving things around, and it's established now. Once you get past 3,000 subscribers, you can just about do whatever you want.
That's great info, Kevin. The internet's, how many people are on YouTube? 2 million people, 3 million people?
I think it's 50 million channels, plus it's more than 50 million channels and 2 billion active monthly users or something like that. It's astronomical.
So my point is, who cares if somebody bumps into somebody, who cares? I want the gardening community to grow. Mm-hmm. If there's 10 channels out there, that's awesome. It's not about my time, your time. It's about we time. You go whenever you want.
One of the magical parts about YouTube is the fact that we have replays on our live streams. So in my past life, I've worked in nightclubs and event-based productions where you have to be there at 7 o'clock, and we're competing against everybody else who's on at 7 o'clock. And if you don't come to ours, you miss it. But on YouTube, it's not the case, because you can watch everybody's videos one after the other up to a certain level. And no channel is going to live or die because a couple of videos get missed. Again, as long as we're all doing as much as we can for each other, we see everybody growing. It's wonderful. It's magical.
Yeah.
It is totally magical. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on. Again, you guys could be on for an hour yourselves, or 2.
We've done that on Nora's channel, actually. Yeah, but thank you, Joel. Thank you for having us here.
It was nice to meet you guys.
Thank you, Courtney.
Happy 3-year anniversary.
Yes,
awesome.
this week.
Congrats, Kevin. He's like a brother to me, so thank you for everything you do. Thank you.
Well, thank you guys so much for coming on. You guys are the best. And Nora, I can't. I'm so overwhelmed by your support. It's like you're my number 1. I don't know who's number 2.
I didn't even know.
I don't know if anybody wants to be number 2. But thank you. I appreciate you guys both. You guys are awesome.
Okay, thank you.
And I'll
see you probably tomorrow. Take care, guys. So that went well. Didn't it? That was awesome.
That's great.
And thank you guys for all your support. I appreciate everybody here. We've been having consistently 90 to 105 people in the chat. And there's others in social media. I think there was like 45 people on other social media. So it's about 145 people following us. So I appreciate you all. But now it's time to get to the wheel. And Courtney, thank you so much for coming on and helping out and doing everything.
Thank you for having me, Joe. It means so much. And I loved everybody. And oh my gosh, Matt, my head is still exploding.
When he goes when he goes into something, keeps on going and going. You're like, part of you, like, I'm watching the show, I'm like, stop. Then all of a sudden, other one's like, no, go, 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 go. Because I'm so excited. That guy's amazing. And buy his book, guys. We buy his book. It's oh my God. I know I ordered it before, so we'll see. I can't wait. It might be expensive, but it's well worth it. It's something that you should. It's the way you should be growing food. Not the way we all been doing for all these years, using all these fertilizers and crapping in ground and beating it up and not getting fungi. I'm the fun guy. I'm not the fungi. Okay, so let's get to the wheel. Thank you, everybody, for coming here. I appreciate you guys for all your support again, all the memberships and super chats and everything else. I appreciate it. It really helps the channel grow. Okay, so let's get to the wheel. So Courtney's live is at 10 o'clock tonight, not 11.
It's a 10 tonight. Yeah, I moved it up to 10s.
So look, up in the center of the wheel, I got soil in the hands. That's new for the wheel. That was pretty cool. So let me shuffle. Courtney, if you can see in the chat if when people win or not, if they're here in the chat, it helps out a little bit because when I'm at the wheel, I can't see anything. Okay. We're gonna do rapid fire. Oh, thank you so much, Super Chat. Thank you, Kevin. I really appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Okay, so let's spin it. First winner gets a couple of things of this yarn.
Ooh, who's gonna win? Oh.
So this is awesome. I think you get 4 or 5 of these I have. So good luck. And the polka. Thank you so much, Barry. Barb's Country Home. Congratulations, Barb's Country Home.
Barb's Country Home. Come on down.
So thank you, Lulu's Treasure Trove and Carrie the Yarny Elephant. Carrie is a member for 19 months. That is amazing. Thank you so much. It's amazing when you see these memberships pop up like that. It's like, wow, 19 months.
I know.
It's like I've been a member for you. I have no idea how it was. 19 months, 22, 24 months. I have no idea.
It's crazy. Is Barb Country Home in the house?
Okay, getting these yarn things out of the way. So next one is this color. I'm getting old. I can't even tell colors anymore. It's yellow, and you get like 4 or 5 of these. I'm not exactly sure how many there is. I just wanted to grab about 1 each. I believe it's 4. So good luck, everyone. Let's spin. Looking for Barb's Country Home. Yellow, brownish. Good luck. Who's going to be the winner? I love to crochet.
Oh, I know. I saw him in here.
So that is
still here?
That is Tank. Congratulations to Tank. We've got to find out if you're in the chat. She's an amazing woman. She's been a supporter of mine for a long time, Courtney. There she is. Yay! And yes, thank you. Let me circle it and put that to the side. All right, that is awesome. This is the next winner. So we got 3 or 4 of these. It's a light blue and dark blue color. I don't know if you can see that. Man, I'm really getting colorblind. So this is from Lion Brand Yarns.
Nice.
So here we go. Congratulations, Tank. Let's spin it.
Are you here?
You see what? You know, it's funny what Tank said. She goes, "Put on your glasses, Joe." I hate wearing glasses. By really getting too old. 2%. Hooray! Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. So that's 2 out of 3. Awesome.
Congratulations.
The next winner is going to win a herbal handbook.
Ooh.
Herbal handbook. Good luck. So we got 2 out of 3 winners. Handicap Traveler.
I have
Congratulations, Handicap Traveler.
Lurking.
You won a herbal handbook.
Yeah.
See if they're in the chat. And again, guys, thank you everyone for coming tonight. We have 104 people in the chat. I appreciate everything. I really do. So we are looking for Handicap Traveler and Barb's Country Home. So that's the last 2 winners. The next, I like this book a lot. So this is fresh from the garden, but it's patterns you can make.
Nice.
So can't beat to me, this is like what our channel represents a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So good luck. This is from Jesse and Lisa with Lazy Days Ahead. They bought us several of these pulled out. This is awesome. Uncle Al.
Oh, he had just left because he said his ride was gone. Like he was going.
Oh, Uncle Al. You know what? Let's give another one of these out. This is a great book, Lori. Let's spin it again. Uncle Al, if you're still here, let us know. LG Homestead. I don't know if LG Homestead's here today, but congratulations to Lori at LG Homestead. I hope they're doing well. I haven't followed her channel lately, and I admit it. I know she did a live 2 weeks ago or a video 2 weeks ago. Don't make you say, if anybody's doing a channel and they feel discouraged, don't. Just keep on plugging around, plug at it, and good things will happen. So... and I apologize if I don't say hi to everybody in the chat and things like that. Sometimes more often than others, because there's really no time in these 2 hours to do everything. If I wanted to make this a 5-hour chat, I could easily do that. But I want you guys every single minute to be, a minute to reason you could be here. So I don't see LG Homestead. Let's do another Fresh from the Garden book. Let me shuffle. Again, if you are a member, you get extra chances on it. We're ready in 9:08, so we're going to go to 9:15. Courtney needs to get ready for the show. Deidre Kelly. Congratulations to Deidre Kelly. Fresh from the Garden book. Okay, next book is called The Healing Kitchen.
Ooh.
So we're looking for Deidre Kelly, and this is The Healing Kitchen book. Deidre Kelly said yes. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Whoop. Idaho Garden Girl.
Ah! Congratulations, Idaho.
So congratulations to Idaho Garden Girl. Idaho Garden Girl is usually in the chat all the time.
She
Let's
was
see
in
if she's
here.
still in the chat.
I saw her. Where's she at?
Where's she at? There it is. I'm here.
Yay!
So congratulations, Idaho Garden Girl. Let's give away, let me see, a couple more turns of the wheel, guys, and we're going to call it a night. Thank you guys for staying for here this long. Get the loom set.
Ooh, so cool.
So, yeah, this is really cool. So let's see who's going to win today. Let's see. Loom set. Is there going to be a repeat winner today? You never know. Mrs. Lazy Days Ahead. You know, because Jessie never wins. It's always Lisa.
You did, Idaho Garden Girl, FYI. You did win that book. Yay! Congratulations, winner!
Yes, we got Idaho Garden Girl. She's here. She won the book, so that's awesome. And now we got looking for Mrs. Lazy Days Ahead. They won a loom set, but they might have won it before. Thank you. She says thank you. So awesome. So they're never win. Yeah, that's Jessie. See, Jessie says never win. And Lisa says, yes, thank you. So congratulations to Lisa. Take care. Truly amazing. So we're going to give away some seeds quick. So seed. So we got Mary's Heirloom Seeds, who gave us quite a great donation. You got Burpee, you got M.I. Gardner, you got Dwarf Tomatoes, Hot Peppers, and Grab Bag, hot peppers, you know, traditional stuff. So we're going to go a couple 4 minutes and see how many we can get out for seeds. Thank you guys for all your support. Still 98 people in the chat. That's amazing. Yarn again.
Woohoo!
Congratulations, Yarn again. Let us know if you're not sure about a choice. Say Grab Bag, and I'll just grab a seed from here. It could be from Back to the Roots to a whole bunch of other companies. So we're looking for Yarn again. I tell you, Courtney, this is where I'm going to get totally lost because I'm trying to get as many out as I can. At the same time, we can't overdo ourselves because they have to be in the chat to win. They can't email me after the fact. Gotta make sure. There it is. Yes, Grab Bag. K&K Crochet.
Are you there, K&K?
So Yarn again, you want some broccoli. So you want some from Back to the Roots broccoli. And if you guys don't like seeds like this, well, give it away in your own chat. That's the way I look at it. It's a benefit. It's a benefit. Jessie asked Lisa if she wants to trade the yarn for loom. Well, you guys just... Oh, 1 second. Idaho Garden Girl messaged me. 1 second. Where it is. She just told me that she won. Okay. I'm trying to get totally lost in everything here. Thank you guys for all your emails, because the faster I get these out, the faster you get them. And the more, if I have people I have to look up for, sometimes it's a week or two late. So do we see K&K Crochet? I don't see them in the chat. Did you see them at all, Courtney?
No, I have not.
Okay. Seed. she was here. Okay, thank you, Lulu. Still 1 minute left. Helen Ford.
Helen Ford, are you out there?
Oh, Helen Ford has been so generous to this channel. She has sent me so much stuff. Unbelievable. From envelopes to stamps. A huge help, make things easier for me. Amazing.
There's K&K.
Here she is. Yes, I was sorry I had to step up. Recyclable Homestead. So K&K Crochet, you won the Muncher Slicing Cucumber. So congratulations to K&K Crochet.
Congratulations.
And I don't see Helen Ford and Recyclable Homestead. Now, that's another channel that has helped me out tremendously sending stuff. And I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Okay, let's next winner. Trying to get these out here, guys. Trying to get these out. 109 people in the chat. Boom. Thank you for all the mods, for all your assistance in making this very safe chat. Deborah Richardson. Congratulations, Deborah Richardson. Let's go 3 more. 3 more. And I got to shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. Oh, Deborah Richardson is here.
AJ's Green Topics. Yay! Are you out there, AJ?
So, Deborah Richardson won the radish. I'm just trying to get these fast as I can. So, congratulations, Deborah Richardson. This is the Crimson Giant radish. That's one thing about radishes. They grow so easy and so fast. Gotta love it. And if you guys really hate the seed I picked, just email me, please. And I can't do that for everybody. But if you certainly hate radishes and never eat them and don't know anybody you don't get giveaways or anything for your channel, just email me. I'm just trying to be as nice as I can for everybody. Okay, last winner of the night. Last winner was AJ's Green Topic. 110 people in the chat. Go, Lisa, the trade. Okay, if you guys are making a trade, just email me about the trade, okay? Chuck. I don't think Chuck's here, so let's do another winner. Chuck's not Chuck. Chuck has a different channel. Because members, anytime you're a member, I have to get you off the list. Robot Gopher.
Are you there, Robot Gopher?
So we're just looking for Robot Gopher. That was the last spin of the night. I mean, this is incredible live, Courtney. This has been amazing. Here I am here. Robot Gopher, let me know what you want quick. So, I mean, from the interviews to, I know this was, I never expected this many people stay late for 2 hours. I mean, this is totally amazing. 100
because you're entertaining.
Oh, I'm so entertaining, and I'm so hungry right now. I wish I could go to another another driving story right now, but that might take a little longer. Yeah, this live. Thank you guys, and if you guys could share this out, that'd be great. It just shows our guests that hey, you know what? It's worth coming back. So by you guys sharing it out, it shows something to my guests. Hey, we could do this again, because he doesn't do this for everybody. His if you went to his, like, ask him to speak, it costs $1,500 lesson, for him to speak at. And he's coming here to do it a favor. And a lot of it has to do with relationships and friendships, or hearing my name from the past, because I used to pester everybody. So I always answer, who's this guy always asking questions, and that's how I go there. And ask if you're into a channel or into something, ask them questions. That's what you go to the page's about section and figure that out.
Right.
So we're about to go for, we'll see if there's any fun. Okay, I'm just going grab bag. You know what? Mary's Heirloom Seeds donated these seeds last week. So we're going to give a tromboncino squash.
Ooh.
So actually, I should have just grabbed that for myself.
Hey,
Mrs. Puff. Mrs. Puff was one of my teachers growing up. She taught everybody in my whole entire family.
Really?
So, yeah, isn't that amazing? Don't say anything, Gene. Actually, you know what? I'll tell you a quick story with Mrs. Puff. So she was the girls' basketball coach, and I was in 7th grade, and I think there was the wrestling things you roll up in, those little containers. And so, yeah, my genius thing was trying to go on top of it and try to dance on him when you're trying to roll. Well, then all of a sudden, Mrs. Puff goes, "What are you doing? Get out of the gym. You're not supposed to be here." and all the time I'll be shooting baskets. "What are you doing in here? You're not supposed to be here." And I have people in the court, a couple girls. Janice Blumen was one of their basketball players, and she was a really good basketball player. And she would be like, "Don't yell at him." She graduated with my brother. And I was always around the gym and the school all the time. But I love Mrs. Puff. She was from 4th grade, a 3rd grade teacher till when I was all the way up to high school. So I'm so happy she's here. Okay, guys. Well, that's today's live. Thank you guys, everyone, for coming up. And thank you, Courtney, for all your support. And I'll see you next Sunday. Next Sunday, Funday. Take care, everyone. Have a good week.